So we didn't say yesterday when we were doing this that we're here at my dad and mom's house in Weslaco, Texas. It's March
20th, first day of spring today.
2016, first day of spring. It's been a great visit. I've been a little bit under the weather. I'm going to adjust this camera a bit. What about you?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I left off yesterday, or whatever day it was. We were talking about school, and I asked you some questions about if you had any favorite subjects, if you had any unfavorite subjects, and you didn't like chemistry.
Right.
And then I was going to ask you, did you get good grades in school?
I got fairly good grades. Yeah. No, the only thing I ever had trouble with was chemistry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we already know what you wore to school. That was a great story about the Levi's. Thank you for that. And did you participate in any extracurricular high school activities?
No, not really, because I always had an after-school job for the most part. So no, I didn't. I wasn't an athlete, as you well know, and so no.
And did you ever get any special school awards for studies or anything?
No, just Joe Average.
And you went to college at Drake University in Des Moines?
That's correct.
But you did not graduate there. You finished it up in Los Angeles?
In Los Angeles, but I never did really get a degree, although I had enough accumulated here, accumulated there, accumulated,
And did you say you finished up that schooling at El Camino?
Well, I went to El Camino, and I also went to LA City College for a little bit too.
I took a few classes at LA City College on Vermont.
Because when we moved to Gardena, then I wasn't eligible to go to one school or the other school. There were districts. So I'm not sure.
I think I remember. I knew as a child where El Camino College was. I think perhaps I remember.
Well, I think it's in Hawthorne or somewhere over there.
Did one of the Spradleys teach there?
I don't know.
Okay.
That was.
Oh, that's right. That was a whole.
That was afterwards.
Generation after.
I don't know where
they were.
Where he taught. I know he taught biology, but I don't remember where.
So now I'm going to ask you a couple questions about your family. Could you describe a couple memories that maybe I haven't heard before about your dad, or even if I have heard them?
Well, you probably need to be more specific, but I don't know exactly what you're referring to.
Like, did recreational things he liked to do?
Well,
what were his interests?
He was an athlete in his younger days. As I think I've told you, he played semi-pro soccer in St. Louis. He played a lot of baseball. He had a offer to go pro with Cincinnati, I believe, Cincinnati Reds. That was during the Depression, though, and he had a job that was already paying $25 a week. So, and mother was pregnant with me, so he chose to stick with
the sure thing.
The sure thing at the time. So,
was that? Do you think that was his job with the sign company down there?
Yes, he worked for Kern Sign Company at that time. He worked for that was his only real job, all the way up until the time of the Second World War, when he had to go to work in a defense plant, which was Emerson Electric, building the belly turrets for B-17s.
Yes. Yes, I've heard something about that story.
And he was a production manager there, so he worked a lot of hours during the war. So he was on a draft deferment because of his job was critical.
Right.
And he was on his last deferment, they told him, when the war was over in '45.
Emerson Electric's a huge company.
big company's still around,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Big, big, big.
Belly turrets, huh?
Yeah, the belly turrets for the B-17s.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how about your mom? Did she have any hobbies or extracurricular things she liked to do, or music, or cards, or
She played bridge.
women's clubs?
I don't think she belonged to any women's clubs per se. I mean, I think she belonged to the women's auxiliary at church. But other than that, no, I don't think so.
Would you call? Was she a cook? A natural
Oh,
cook?
yeah, she was a good cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was a good cook. I think she learned it from Grandma Ida, who was also a good cook.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
good to know. Would you say there's any? Are there any physical characteristics that run in your family line, other than
Big mouth, you know,
Big
blah, blah, blah.
short, stocky, and
Yeah.
hairy?
Yeah, yeah. The handy, well, I guess, yes. Short,
I wouldn't say
Sharp
we're not
people.
really short, but I mean we're
yeah,
spark-plugging,
kind
you know?
of stocky,
Yeah.
built like fire plugs.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think John's the main exception to that.
Yeah.
So, well, he probably inherited that from the Moore side of the family.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
And I think you've already told me a little bit that you visited a lot with Uncle Charles and Gladys.
yes, yeah, they were the closest relatives.
And then you went out for family visits to the farm.
That was to my Aunt Mildred and Uncle Jack farm in Williamsburg, Iowa.
Williamsburg,
And that was, of
McGill.
course, Dad's. Yeah, and that was my dad's sister, Mildred, up in McGillicuddy.
And was that a operating farm? Did they make a living off that farm?
Well, yeah.
That's what it was.
That's what it was for.
Yeah.
Yes, I think it was 360 acres. And
I've
they had
enjoyed seeing the pictures.
they raised corn, they raised wheat, they had some livestock, you know, and so forth.
Yeah, I've enjoyed
Chicken
seeing
house.
the pictures you showed
Yeah.
of that.
Right.
I was surprised in some of the pictures you mentioned that you guys were picking strawberries.
Yeah, they had a huge strawberry patch. They did.
That must be just a one season thing in that hot Iowa sun.
Oh yeah, I don't think they get berries all year long.
Right.
Just during the summer months, whenever the season is.
I was also intrigued on those pictures from the farm of those little chicken houses, chicken huts that were individual and laying on the ground, and they looked like they could be picked up and moved.
Well, I can imagine. I don't know what they really were. I guess a chicken went in there and took her chicks.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think it was an early form of free-range chicken. It's
Might have
very
been.
interesting.
Yeah, they roamed all over the
Yeah.
farm.
They need a place to coop up,
Right, at night.
and they go for that for protection.
Yeah, although they had a chicken coop, a chicken house.
Oh, they did?
Yeah,
Oh,
so,
interesting. So I also saw in one of the newspaper searches of the Iowa area, Williamsburg, that I saw in the social section that little William Handy was visiting his aunt and uncle.
oh sure, because they put all that kind of stuff in
Yeah.
the newspaper there.
Everything.
Yeah, everybody knew everything that was going on. You know, they had party line telephone, you know, 2 rings and a long, or 2 shorts and a long, or whatever but everybody listened in.
They
There
did,
may
huh?
be, maybe 12 people on the party line, but if one person's phone rang, everybody lifted the receiver.
Rochelle remembers a party line
Yeah.
at her
Uh-huh.
grandmother's house.
Yeah.
And did you have any family pets in St. Louis?
Cats.
Cats?
Yeah, we almost always had a cat. You know, when I was
No dogs,
when I was-
huh?
No, we had a little dog once for a couple of weeks, and I don't know why we didn't.
It didn't,
Why it disappeared?
It didn't hang,
I
huh?
was little, yeah, but we always seemed to have a cat.
And were you especially close to any particular person in the family or relative? Was
Oh,
there
everyone.
one if you had to pick?
Oh, it's probably Aunt Dorothy at the,
Right.
you remember Aunt Dorothy.
Oh, yeah.
So
As far as I know, she's my aunt. You know, I know she's my great aunt,
she's your great aunt.
but she
right.
treated us as if we were
Oh yeah.
her niece.
Oh
her
sure.
nephew.
Oh absolutely.
Yep. I have great memories of her. I remember her place in Hawthorne, Inglewood. What was the place on the hill?
She lived in Inglewood.
Yeah.
What I think it was
on that street?
maybe Centinela. I'm not sure.
It had I remember.
Or Queens. I don't remember exactly the street. But
I remember going there for Sunday dinners and watching Jackie Gleason show.
Oh, on her TV, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was in California. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we spoke off camera a little bit about the lump of coal, but I got to get it on camera. So I remember as a kid you telling us you got a lump of coal for Christmas.
Right.
You've already told me the story.
Right. Right.
But briefly.
So, yeah, it was Christmas morning. I suppose I was somewhere around 3 or 4. Still a believer. And I got up and there was just a lump of coal. And then when Mom and Dad got up, they said, "Has Santa Claus been here yet?" And I said, "No." And I had already stuffed a lump of coal under the couch.
Nice.
So,
and you didn't actually earn that by being a bad little boy.
no. It was just.
It was
I was an angel.
Yeah.
I was.
All handy boys are angels.
Right. And you know, we had that lump of coal forever and ever and ever.
I recall seeing it.
Yeah, it was around. Even when Sarah was little, we had it. And I recall when you guys were out in Arlington over the Christmas thing, and we had that luncheon at Christmas, I guess, was already over, and we had given the lump of coal to Mom for Christmas, and then we had the luncheon at the office, and we had 2 cars, and we were driving somewhere, and I was driving behind the car that Mom was driving, and when it came to a stoplight, I just kind of tapped their bumper, and Mom turned around and gave me the finger. And Sarah said, "Now I know why Grandma got that lump of coal."
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. That was so funny.
There was another jokish Christmas gift that used to make the rounds. A picture made of
there was a calendar, an old calendar that had some kind of exotic bird on the thing, you know, and it was made with real feathers. And it was the ugliest thing that ever existed. When that got passed around, nobody knew. If somebody was going to get that every Christmas, they're going to get that. And it got passed around for years and years and years. And it was always a surprise as to who was going to come up with it. But I don't remember where it ever happened to it.
Yeah, me neither.
So,
but I remember the concept.
Yeah, oh yeah, I think there's some pictures of it around floating.
Yeah.
So.
Did you guys used to do anything on a regular basis for 4th of July? Did you go out to see fireworks as a young person in St. Louis?
I remember a couple of fireworks shows, and I probably in a park somewhere, or maybe at a stadium. But no, we didn't do that a lot. Mostly, if we were in the St. Louis area, we went out to Charlie and Gladys' house because they kind of lived in a rural area, and barbecue and that kind of thing. So when you guys took us to see the fireworks in Gardena, I think over to that park down the street. Yeah, I don't even remember the name of the park, but I know where you mean. Right on Van Ness.
Some of those loud ones were pretty traumatizing for me.
Yeah.
But I got over it.
Oh yeah.
So the house on McDonald, was that the first house you lived in?
For me,
Yeah, you were born and brought there?
No, it's down the street. There was another.
But you were very small.
I was just a baby, baby. But there's some pictures around of me down just on the same street down the block, and then they moved up there. But I was still a baby.
And then from that house, you lived at an apartment while your dad had a house built, which I've seen.
Right,
and that house
on Chippewa. Right.
Chippewa?
The apartment was on Chippewa.
I see.
And then the house was straight up the block to the new house. It was just
on the street.
Very short period. 5500 Mardell.
Mardell, yeah. It's on a corner, if I remember.
Yeah, but I don't remember the.
Yeah,
I think it was Regal.
And when you showed it to me when we drove through there, it's a very modern-looking house.
Yeah, it was pretty modern. Yeah. Square. I mean, minimalist.
Did that put him closer to the radio and electronics store?
Yeah, it was. We could have walked it, I suppose,
Yeah.
but we always drove.
What's that big street that's right close to it there, the main drag?
Chippewa. It was on
The main-
That's the
no.
main street, Chippewa.
But
That's
the main boulevard where the businesses were? Is that Chippewa?
That was Chippewa.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the other.
No. No.
And then after that, from that home, did you live in any other homes, or did you go to
No.
college from there?
I went to school from there, and then Dad got transferred to Des Moines, so they bought a house up there. Then
Transferred from which?
St. Louis.
From which business?
The Astrup Company.
The Astro
Yeah.
Company, okay.
And so he went up there and was an outside salesman
Ah, I see.
for that upper Midwest territory. And then they had a house there,
Uh-huh.
and I lived there. I couldn't, 4015 9th Street, I believe it was. It was a nice house. And then he got transferred to Los Angeles.
Did his transfer to Des Moines, was that what directed you towards Drake?
Yeah, well, we knew he was going to move up there. Yeah,
I see.
so that was one of the reasons. So,
And then I think you mentioned, she's got little bags.
okay.
Looks like the dog is busy.
Yeah, they pick up after their dogs here.
You mentioned earlier off the camera, perhaps you mentioned that you and Mom had a place in Des Moines right after you got married.
Well, we lived in a little apartment on the second floor. It was the second floor of a house that the people converted into, made it into an apartment. We kind of had to go through their living room to get upstairs.
Oh, yeah, really, huh?
Yeah, should have opened the front door, walk up the steps. I mean, the kitchen was a farmer closet, you know.
And then who came out to Los Angeles first, you or your folks?
Oh, folks, they were there for a year, a little over a year before when we moved out there. So,
Was that a brand new, and he went straight to the Los Angeles?
right, he was manager of the Los Angeles
Was that a brand
office.
new office location? Or
No,
did
no, it
exist?
already existed, but the previous manager died.
Uh-huh. So he went straight up.
Yeah, so they sent him out there to take over.
Did do you recall? Was it an excite? Did he like being on the West Coast?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
He was calling back and saying this is interesting. And nice.
No, they liked it out there a whole lot. They liked the weather out there.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could imagine. So you always had jobs. What was your first job as a young person?
My first job was in a neighborhood grocery store. I was 14, and they said over the loudspeaker that this particular grocery store, his name was Kuhs, K-U-H-S, Kuhs Grocery.
K-U-H-S?
Right, German.
German name, yeah.
Needed someone to help out after school.
They said it over the PA?
Yeah,
Cool.
and I went right over there right after, as soon as the bell rang, I went right up there, and he hired me. So my job was to put cans, stock the shelves, and spray the produce with the water, and pick out the old fruit. And he had one of these delivery bicycles, and with a big basket on the front, little front wheel. You've ever seen those? So
Oh yeah, so it can have a big square.
Right,
in the
and
front?
people
Yeah.
would call in their order, and then I would get to ride the bicycle and deliver the groceries.
Wow.
And sometimes I got a tip for doing that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what I did after school, and on Saturdays. So that was nice.
Yeah.
That was my first job.
Wow.
And then I went from there into working at the gas station across the street from.
I did not know you had a gas station job.
Oh yeah, well, a lot of years. I mean, that was my main job.
Check your oil. Check the.
Well, yeah, I got to be the lube expert, you know,
Yep.
lube the cars on Saturdays. It was a big day for people to bring their cars in to have them oil
Yes.
changed and lubes. And
All those Zerk.
I worked under the rack, yep. So,
I wonder, one of my jobs was doing a lot of lube work and oil changes. And
right.
One time I forgot to fill a car up with oil after I drained it.
Right. Oh boy.
That didn't go
I
too
know.
well.
That happened to my dad with his first new car after the war was over was a '48 Plymouth, and he took it to the dealership and for its first checkup and had the oil changed, and they forgot to put oil in it, and it burned up the engine.
Yeah.
So they had to put a new engine in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yep.
Human.
Mhm.
And then, have any other jobs that you want to mention?
Well, I had a variety of.
And you said you worked at the family business.
Well, yeah, that was before.
Even before that?
Yeah, that was before that.
Even as a younger than that?
Yeah, I was probably 8, 9,
Wow.
10. You know, well, now I got to be over 10. I was between the ages of, say, 10 and 14. But I would help out in the store.
So seeing functioning businesses up close like that, would you say that has been a valuable experience?
Oh,
in
certainly.
your life?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good work ethic.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Customer service, the value
All right.
of, and
Yep. Yeah.
teamwork.
But I could, I learned I could make change. I could sew all the little things. I don't think I sold any washing machines or refrigerators,
Right.
but he had all the little parts, and switches and plugs and wire by the yard or by the foot, and then, so I could do all that.
Was that business
Light bulbs.
after the sign company and before the?
It was after the
company?
war. It was after the war was over. So it was after
Oh, that's
Emerson.
right, because he was at
Right.
Emerson.
It was like from 1941 or something like that through, or 1945 through about 1950, somewhere in that range, or 49.
Did that store specialize in any particular brands of appliances and products?
I remember they had Bendix washing machines and dryers, and Philco TVs, and I can't remember what kind of refrigerators. Probably Philco. I don't know if they added those in.
Those Bendix machines, were they always unique in that the dryer and the washing happened in the same tub? Or
No,
was it not
it was
like
two
that?
separate units, but they had they were front loaders. The washing machine was a front loader.
That's pretty unique, right?
Yeah, in those days though, they had to be bolted down to the concrete.
Yeah,
they had to have a concrete
I
pad.
understand that completely.
Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they spin fast to get the water
Mhm.
out,
Mhm.
and that's a lot of weight
Yeah,
spinning at a high RPM.
Right.
Wow.
Exactly. Yeah.
You mentioned that you spent 2 years at the military academy,
Right.
and you came back to get back into the swing of civilization
Right.
and girls and social
Right.
activities.
Yep.
How old were you when you first started dating, would you say?
Oh, probably 15.
Would you say you dated before you had a car?
Yes.
Foot
Yes.
Dating.
Hmm?
By foot or?
Well, yeah, by foot or bicycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And do you remember the name of your first girlfriend, if you want to call them that, or dating person? I don't know if you call it a girlfriend, but
Yeah. The first girlfriend's name was Jackie, Jacqueline. Last name was Joyce, Jackie Joyce. She was from our church youth group. And then another one was Joyce. Her name was Joyce Snowdy.
that's
And she was from our,
the first girl's last name was Joyce,
right. And that was also from the church youth group. We all of us guys, we almost all had, it was a close-knit group, our church youth group.
Are you about to say that you circulated girlfriends around?
We did.
Yeah. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened.
And my good friend, his name was Pete, he was going with Joyce and I was going with Jackie, and we had a square dance. And I left with Joyce and he left with Jackie.
Yeah.
And it was one of those kind of things when we're kids.
Yes.
So.
And do you recall exactly when you first met Mom?
Yeah, I met her in Sociology 101, freshman year at Drake, in Professor Rosenthal's
Yeah, I'd say you remember.
sociology class.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly.
And do you remember when you first asked Mom out, or where you went on a first
There was a
date?
fraternity dance. It was a fraternity dance, and I was,
Mom was in a fraternity?
no, I was, well, she was in a sorority, but I was,
I'm sorry.
I had to,
I'm sorry.
we all had to, we had to have a date, and I was very hesitant, and
What do you mean you had to have a date? Oh, for the event.
come on in,
Come on in.
over. So anyway, they,
We interrupted?
no. So anyway, just to finish that little statement off, I was working in the gas station, and the fraternity, a couple of fraternity brothers came by, held me by the arms, made me put a nickel on the telephone
Uh-huh.
and call her and ask her for a date.
kidding.
Yep.
This whole session
and I-
has been worth
right.
that answer.
And then she says it's about time you called. Next time, call sooner. So, okay,
That's a great answer. Thank you for that.
okay.
Wow.